han dado a una chica ahí en la embajada, querían una introducción de algo de mi experiencia. Yo se lo mandé a alguien ahí, ¿no? A una muchacha, por correo, por correo no, por chat, por si lo tienen.
Eso es correcto. Esa es la señorita Valerie, ella tiene esa información.
Ok. Valerie.
Muchas gracias.
Bueno, gracias a ti.
Señor Gonzalo.
Yes, sir.
Valerie pregunta cuál información tiene ella.
I think that the gentleman is referring to his introduction.
Yes, we already sent it.
Correcto, ya lo enviamos.
We already sent it to the moderator.
El moderador lo tiene, señor Ferreira.
Perfecto.
I would request if you can just remove the presentation when the, Good morning, sir. Morning, Vice President, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good morning is in Panama, sir.
You are shifted to Panama, huh?
We were talking to the Panama speakers.
So we will follow that. We will follow their timings.
Yes. Thank you for joining, sir. Thank you.
No. My pleasure. My pleasure. Volume. Yeah, you want me to let him clear, but because it's a single stick. So, but don't you?
Mr. Gonzalo?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just tried, I was just checking whether you can hear me.
Yo venía antes para acá y cuando venía al camino se me olvidó. ¿Qué tiene? Se fue. Gracias.
Tiene que seguir, y si se casa ella, también tiene que ir con él.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Chairman, sir.
Morning, good evening, Ashish.
Good morning is in Panama, sir. Sorry, good evening.
Yeah, good morning in Panama.
Yes, sir. So we just start in another 2-3 minutes time. Ambassador sir is to join.
मैं अभी करता हूँ थोड़ी देर में वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग पे
Morning, Ambassador.
Good morning, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. How are you, sir?
Jan?
Por eso que cuando
Good afternoon, everyone in India, and good morning in Panama. I am pleased to welcome you all at this important video conference on India Panama Business Symposium, Challenges and Opportunities Post COVID-19. Before I further move ahead, I would request all the participants to just keep their mics mute, please. Friends, today's session has been organized by Federation of Indian Export Organizations, an apex trade promotion body of India, with the active support of our Indian Embassy in Panama. This is in continuation to our series of webinars and video conferences which we have organized in the past and many more being planned. We sincerely thank our Indian embassies and missions who have given their continuous support and cooperation in organizing these webinars. The key objective of today's session is to discuss the present economic status of Panama in view of COVID-19, various business opportunities in the prevailing economic environment, and roadmap and strategies to be followed to enhance our trade and economic ties with Panama, an important trading partner of India in the LAC region. A pleasure and privilege to have with us eminent speakers and panelists for today's session. We have with us His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador, Embassy of India Panama. Mr. Manuel Ferreira, Director of Economic Business and Advisor of Chamber of Commerce of Panama, Mr. Hardeep Buller, Director, Ministry of Commerce and Industry of Panama, Mr. Giovanni Ferrapi, General Manager, Colon Free Zone, Mr. Hernan Riveros, Commercial Director, Panama Pacifico, Mr. Prabhakar Sharan, Vice President, Indo-Latin American Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Mehraj Gulzar, Vice President, Latin American Region of ProDept IT Industry, and Ms. Yolani Nathani, Founder of Pro Panama. From the Federation side, we have with us Mr. Mahesh Chandra Kayal, Vice President, FIEO, Mr. Ashwani Kumar, Chairman, FIEO Northern Region. Besides, we have senior members of the board and members of the Federation from all across the country. Before inviting the distinguished guests and experts, I would request all the participants, except the speakers, to keep their mics mute. We will give ample opportunity to interact with the experts and panelists during the Q&A session when the speakers share their valuable insights. One more request, please raise the finger button on the screen during the Q&A session so that we are able to identify you and invite you for your queries. May I now request Mr. Ashwani Kumar, Chairman for Northern Region, for his welcome address, please. Sir.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you very much. His Excellency, Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador, Embassy of India in Panama, Mr. Manuel Ferreira, Director of Economic Business and Advisor of Chamber of Commerce in Panama, Mr. Hardeep Buller, Director, Ministry of Commerce and Industry of Panama, Mr. Giovanni Ferrari, General Manager, Colon Free Zone, Mr. Harnam Riveros, Commercial Director, Panama Pacifico, Mr. Prabhakar Saran, Vice President, Indo-Latin American Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Mehraj Gulzar, Vice President, Latin American Region and Product IT Industry, Miss Yolani Nathani, Founder of Pro Panama, Mr. Mahesh Chandra Kayal, Vice President, FIEO, my Panamanian counterparts, my exporter friends, and participants from India, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Federation of Indian Export Organization, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you at this important interactive video conferencing on trade and investment opportunities between India and Panama post-COVID-19. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to the Embassy of India in Panama, particularly His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador, Embassy of India, Panama, and the entire team of Embassy of their sincere efforts in making the meeting possible today. Friends, as we all learn to live under the cloud of coronavirus and shift our focus towards self-reliance, it has become imperative to connect with the key stakeholders across the global more aggressively. Here, I would like to sincere thanks again the wholehearted efforts of our missions and embassies for their help and assistance in this hour of need. FIEO, an apex body to promote international trade, is making all its efforts to reach out to exporters through video conferencing virtual meets to understand their concerns so that the same may be brought to the notice of the concerned authorities for their speedy solutions. Friends, the Republic of Panama is a transcontinental country in Central America and South America. The Indian-Panamanian connection is the oldest in the Central America region, dating back to the middle of the 19th century, when a group of Indians, particularly Sikh immigrants, came to Panama to work on the construction of Panama Railways and later the Panama Canal in the early 20th century. It is indeed a matter of great satisfaction that Indian-Panama business ties have been grown steadily over the years. India total export to Panama reached US dollar 238.52 million in 2019 and 20, and showed a growth almost 5%. The main items of Indian export to Panama includes automobile and accessories, textile, pharmaceutical, article of iron and steel, plastic product, tobacco products, rubber products, furniture items, electrical and electronic equipments. The main items imported from Panama include teak and other wood, mineral fuels, oil and waxes, metal scrap and raw cashew, etc. However, the trade is much below the potential, keeping in view the strong political association between two countries. India ranked 19th in the global import, and share of in the total import of Panama was just 0.57% in 2019, suggested that there lies a very high potential for expansion of Indian goods, and we need to increase our business engagements to increase our share in the imports of Panama markets. Panama also offers India the wide Panama Canal, which is currently undergoing a massive expansion program, one of the most important waterways in the world for the trade, that allows countries in the east a quick and rapid communication channel with the west. It is only the timely that Panama and India should draw closer ties. Further, the studies carried out by Panama Canal Authority suggested that the canal port located at the canal's Atlantic and Pacific outlets and the free zones will continue to predominate the trade and the region in the near future. When it comes to investments, there is a lot of scope for further development in infrastructure and manufacturing sector, expansion of Tokum Airport Terminal, increasing the capacity and the efficiency of existing container terminals, heading of 2 new container terminals in the bank of canal, setting up the refineries, pipelines, shipbuilding, etc. are several projects where Indian companies can participate. Science and technology is another area where India can help Panama in a big way, with the key objective of enhance India trade and economic cooperation with Latin American and the Caribbean countries. FIEO is also coordinated a multi-product business delegation of Indian companies to Panama and Cuba during October-November 2017. The delegation was led by the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, Mr. Suresh Prabhu. The business delegation comprised multiple sectors like pharmaceutical, textile, auto parts, bioproducts, and food, etc. The Indian embassy at both Panama and Cuba extended their full support and help in organizing B2B meetings and other important sectorial meetings of the delegates. The visit provided ample opportunities to the Indian entrepreneurs to interact with their counterparts and help in understanding the market trends and the requirements. It is our constant endeavor to provide a common platform for the businessmen for both the countries to enhance economic and trade relations, and today's virtual interaction is another step to this direction. With these words, I would like to again thank Indian Embassy in Panama, other distinguished guests and speakers, and look forward a meaningful and result-oriented business interactions today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing the overall trade and economic scenario. I would now request Mr. Mahesh Chandra Kayal, Vice President FIEO, for his keynote remarks, please.
His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador, Embassy of India, Panama, dignitaries and speakers from Panama, Mr. Ashwini Kumar, Regional Chairman FIEO, my exporter friends and participants from India and Panama, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador, Embassy of India, Panama, for his presence today. Friends, the economic environment across the globe demand that we evolve ourselves and look for the new business opportunities. COVID-19 pandemic has definitely affected the medium of interactions and made it more virtual. Many of the participants might be aware that FIEO has been organizing a series of webinars on trade promotion by working closely with our Indian missions and embassies abroad. These webinars have helped the participants understand the market dynamics, gauge the effects of slowdown, assess the future of various sectors, clarify their queries, and get perspective on industry by industry experts. Friends, as Indian industry continues its expansion in newer markets, Panama is its logical next in Latin America. The strategic location at the center of the Western Hemisphere and its open economy, as signaled by myriad free trade agreements, make it an ideal springboard for Indian companies looking at global growth. From here, Indian companies can have easy connectivity to the rest of the region. The multimodal complex of Panama Canal, the Tocumen International Airport, Copa Hub, International Center, FIC, the Colon Free Zone, the Logistics International Center, the container seaports are infrastructure available to further expand international trade for India. India being one of the fastest growing and sustainable economies, it also make it imperative for Panama to widen its cultural, economic and commercial relations and remain associated with our growing economy. One of the factors that will work towards achieving this closeness and strengthening of bilateral ties is that both countries believe in similar principles and a democratic style of life and have a common objective, which is to improve the quality of life of its citizens. Two countries have immense potential to take it to the next level. We believe that in the post-COVID scenario, this potential will further increase, and today's interactive meet is expected to tap these underlying opportunities. Government of both sides are also working sincerely on this. India has made an important contribution to the Republic of Panama through its policy of international cooperation and through International Technical and Economic Cooperation (ITC) program. Under the program, India provides the technical know-how and expertise as well as training opportunities, consultancy services, and feasibility studies to Panamanian citizens and companies, both in Panama and in India. Further, the government of Panama announced that Indian nationals who possess a visa for the USA, Canada, Australia, or any other country will be granted visa-free entry. Visa exemption has also been granted to diplomats and officials for both the countries. Friends, for Indian companies, colon free trade zone used as a link for importing, storing, assembling, repacking, and re-exporting products with a view to commercialize a product in the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. Mr. Karari, General Manager of Colon Free Zone, and I'm sure we will be sharing more information on this. It has therefore become pertinent that significant people-to-people and business-to-business contact occur frequently in our bilateral trade cooperation. I am confident that our today's interactive session will benefit the participants and companies present today and would take advantage by interacting with the distinguished guests and experts. I would like to again thank Indian Embassy in Panama, speakers and experts present today, and look forward to a useful interaction today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have with us today Mr. Mr. Manuel Ferreira, who is the Director of Economic Business and Advisor of Chamber of Commerce of Panama. I would request Mr. Ferreira for his address, please. Before he speaks, I would like to just inform that Mr. Manuel Ferreira is the Economic Director of Chamber of Commerce since the year 1990, Business and Economic Advisor for over 25 years, free trade sale representative of all the negotiations of Panama with the private sector, and a former antitrust commissioner. Mr. Manuel Ferreira, please.
Muy buenas tardes para todos los empresarios en la India y buenos días para los empresarios en Panamá.
Good afternoon, everyone, for all the business people in India, and good morning for all the business people in Panama.
Muy agradecido por la invitación para conversarles un poco de Panamá.
I am truly thankful for this invitation, allowing me to share my thoughts about Panama.
India y Panamá tienen una relación económica, comercial y política muy importante y los consideramos un país muy estratégico para nuestro pequeño Panamá.
India and Panama truly enjoy a very good economic, commercial, and political relationship. Very important. We consider India as one of the most strategic countries for our little Panama.
Y en nuestro país tenemos una comunidad de la India empresarial muy importante, muchos miembros de nuestra Cámara de Comercio.
In our country, we have a very significant and a very important Indian community, business Indian community, and many of them are members of our Chamber of Commerce.
Ahora quisiera hacerles la presentación que le tenemos para esta mañana y tarde en India.
Now, we would like to provide our presentation that we have for this morning in Panama and for the afternoon in India.
Pone la presentación, Gonzalo, por favor.
¿La logra ver, señor Ferreira?
Todavía.
¿No está en pantalla la presentación?
No.
¿Ahora sí?
Todavía.
¿Me confirman los demás, por favor, si pueden ver la presentación?
No, we cannot see.
No, no se ve todavía, Gonzalo.
¿Ahora?
Todavía.
Share button on the screen, you can just press that and share, sir.
¿Ahora?
No.
No.
¿Se logra ver?
Todavía.
Todavía. No sé si alguien más pudiera hacer el favor porque estoy compartiendo. Permítame un momento. Vamos a intentarlo una vez más. A ver si... ¿Ahora?
No.
Ok. Permítame un momento, por favor. Voy a salirme y entrar rápidamente.
Yes, sir. It is visible now, sir.
Gonzalo, ¿se ve? Debes ponerla en presentación. Ahora sí. Iniciamos. La presentación, vamos a enfocarnos en oportunidades para hacer negocios en Panamá. Gonzalo, no escucho tu traducción.
Sir, I believe I'm muted.
Se te escucha, Gonzalo.
1, 2, 1, 2, probando, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, probando. El moderador, por favor.
Yeah. Visible, sir. Sir, you are unmuted.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay.
Yeah.
We're back in business. Listo. One moment, please. Adelante.
Bueno, nuevamente, mil disculpas por el atraso y vamos a iniciar la presentación enfocado en oportunidades para hacer negocios en Panamá.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I truly apologize for the setback, and let's proceed with the presentation, Opportunities for Doing Business in Panama.
La siguiente. En esta filmina le presento los principales sectores económicos con alto potencial de crecimiento en los próximos años.
In this slide, I present the main potential sectors for growth with a great potential for growth in the next few years.
Esto incluye el conglomerado de servicios alrededor del canal y la logística, el turismo, la minería, construcción y agricultura y pesca.
Those sectors include the services cluster around the Panama Canal, logistics, tourism, mining, construction, and agriculture and fishing.
Siguiente. Panamá ha desarrollado un centro logístico y de transporte con diferentes actividades muy cerca una de otras.
Panama has developed a great logistical center and a transportation hub with several activities very close to each other.
Esto incluye las operaciones del Canal de Panamá, los más de 4 puertos, aeropuertos y actividades de comercio.
This includes the Panama Canal operations, more than 4 ports, and airports, and several commercial and trade activities.
La siguiente. El sector de servicios es el más importante en la economía panameña y uno de ellos es el Canal de Panamá.
The services sector is the most important in the Panamanian economy, and one of them, of course, is the Panama Canal.
La siguiente. Alrededor de 144 rutas marítimas, 13.785 tránsitos de barcos, 1.700 puertos conectados y más de 160 países usuarios del Canal de Panamá.
The Panama Canal services 144 maritime routes, 13,785 transits, 1,700 ports connected through its waters, and 160 countries are currently employing the Panama Canal.
La siguiente. El país está desarrollando una estrategia de diversificación de oportunidades de negocio.
The country is currently developing a comprehensive diversification strategy with several potential areas of business.
En la filmina le presentamos algunas oportunidades.
In this slide, we present some of those opportunities.
Como por ejemplo, terminales de RoRo, terminal de LNG, operaciones de top-off, bunkering y parque logístico, entre otras.
Such as the roll-on, roll-off terminal. We have the liquefied natural gas terminal as well, top-off operations, bunkering, and a logistical park, among others.
La oportunidad es utilizar toda la plataforma logística de canal, puertos, aeropuertos, carreteras y desarrollar estas actividades económicas.
The key behind this strategy would be to use the existing logistical platforms, Panama Canal, ports, airports, highways, and to develop those activities helped by those infrastructure investments already made.
Para su información, Panamá es una economía dolarizada desde 1904 y es el dólar de los Estados Unidos nuestra moneda de curso legal.
For your information, the Republic of Panama is a dollarized economy since 1904, and the US dollar is our legal tender.
La siguiente. En Panamá hemos desarrollado el Aeropuerto Internacional de Tocumen como un hub de conexión para toda Latinoamérica, Norte y Suramérica.
In Panama, we have developed the expansion and the Tocumen International Airport as an interconnection hub for the whole Latin America, North America, and South America.
La siguiente. En el Aeropuerto Internacional de Tocumen se están desarrollando una zona de logística para una serie de actividades económicas como la distribución de medicamentos, repuesto para autos y equipo tecnológico, entre otras.
In Tocumen International Airport, a logistics operations zone is being developed at this moment for providing logistical service to a series of economic activities, such as supply and distribution of medications, automotive parts supply, IT equipment, among others.
La siguiente. También hemos desarrollado una nueva terminal de cruceros y un centro de convenciones que van a representar oportunidades de comercio para India, Panamá y el mundo.
Also, we have developed a new cruise ship terminal. And this will be included with a convention center that will present itself as an opportunity for trade for India, for Panama, and the world.
La siguiente. También en Panamá hay un sinnúmero de obras de construcción importantes del gobierno y del sector privado.
Also in Panama, in the construction sector, there are several infrastructure construction works, both for or from public investment as well as private investment.
Inversión pública en nuevas líneas del metro de Panamá, puentes y carreteras que son oportunidades para empresarios en India.
Public investment, such as the new lines of the metro light train, bridges, and highways, that could be opportunities for business people in India.
La siguiente. También hay inversiones en el área de energía, principalmente en todo lo referente a incentivos para hidros y plantas solares y eólicas.
Also, there is significant investment in the area of energy, mainly in everything regarding incentives for hydroelectrical plants, solar plants, and wind power plants as well.
La siguiente. También hay fuertes inversiones en minería en Panamá, principalmente en operación la compañía minera Panamá, la cual ya exporta más de $67 millones a India en cobre.
Mhm. Also, there is very strong investment in mining, in the mining industry, specifically in the operation of the Minera Panama company, which exports more than $67 million to India in copper.
La siguiente. Panamá, como ya señalé, tiene un sector financiero internacional y utiliza el dólar de los Estados Unidos como moneda de curso legal.
As I have mentioned before, Panama is one of the most important international financial centers, and it uses the US dollar as its legal tender.
La siguiente. Tenemos la zona libre de Colón, que es una zona de reexportación en donde se vende en mercados de Centro, Suramérica, el Caribe y otros países adicionales.
Also, we have the Cologne Free Zone, which is a tax-free or duty-free zone for re-exporting freight towards the Central American market, South America, Caribbean, and other countries around the globe.
Finalmente, para terminar, quisiera solo señalarles que con toda la plataforma logística, India puede desarrollar comercio con toda Latinoamérica desde Panamá.
Now, in order to provide my final remarks, I would like to point out that with all the logistical platform that Panama enjoys and provides, India is able to make business with all Latin America from Panama.
Finalmente, creo que sería muy importante que Panamá e India estudiaran la posibilidad de negociar un tratado de libre comercio. Gracias.
And finally, I believe it would be worthwhile and very important to consider the possibility of India and Panama to study the possibility of a free trade agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manuel, for a very comprehensive presentation and also sharing us with the logistics platform and also the various investment opportunities from the Indian businessman's perspective. I'm sure Indian businessmen present today will take note of that. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador, Embassy of India, Panama, for his keynote address. Before I invite him for his keynote address, I would just like to apprise the participant about his brief profile. His Excellency Ambassador Mr. Upender Singh Rawat joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1998 and has more than 22 years of rich and vast experience. As a career diplomat, he has served in various capacities, both at headquarters and abroad. He has served in Indian diplomatic missions in Slovakia, UK, and Mexico. His last diplomatic assignment was as Deputy Chief of Mission in the Indian Embassy in the Republic of Korea. Prior to his arrival in Panama as Ambassador of India, he was posted in New Delhi as Joint Secretary in charge of e-governance, information technology, and cyber diplomacy division in the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi. He also has worked in MEA, New Delhi, as Joint Secretary in charge of Consular, Passport, and Visa division. Ambassador Rawat graduated from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and is deeply interested in various aspects and developments in the field of IT. In the present capacity, Ambassador Rawat is making all his efforts in enhancing trade and economic ties between India and Panama. May I now request Ambassador sir for his keynote address, please, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Som, for your kind introduction. First of all, I want to thank FIEO in joining hands with embassies and our other key joining organizations for organizing this event. I also want to formally thank all my fellow speakers and Mr. Ashwini Kumar, Regional Chairman, Northern Region FIEO, Mr. Mahesh Chand Kayal, Vice President FIEO, Mr. Manuel Ferreira, who just spoke, Mr. Hardeep Bhullar, Marketing Investment Director in the Ministry of Commerce of Panama, Mr. Giovanni Ferreri, General Manager, Color Free Zone, Mr. Hernan Reveros, Strategic Customer Development Manager, Panama Pacifico, Mr. Prabhakar Sharan, who is Vice President of Indo-Latin American Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Mehraj Guljar, his company project has a presence in Panama Pacifico, and Ms. Yolani Nathani. My fellow speakers have already mentioned about the historical ties between India and Panama. So, in fact, in the Central American region, there is the oldest tie between the two countries. More than 50 years have passed since we have diplomatic relations, and first Indians arrived here even before the construction of the Panama Canal became at the time of when this railroad construction was going on. So even today we have an Indian community which is more than 15,000 in Panama. Panama is, so we have those historical links, and our trade, as mentioned earlier, has reached $314 million in the last financial year, and there is a lot of scope for increasing it further. Panama is, as Mr. Ferreira mentioned, it's a strategic geographical location. It is a hub of hubs because of the Panama Canal and other logistical center that it has become. Panama Canal is also a kind of symbol to say that in Panama you have Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean so close to each other, just 50-60 kilometers away from each other. If you drive from one ocean to another ocean through the roads in Panama, you reach in less than 1 hour. So we need to realize that and use Panama not only for the local market, but also more importantly for logistic and supply chain through this geographical strategic location, and as well as the human infrastructure and service resources that the country has created over last centuries in terms of free trade zones, colon free trade zone. We have Panama Pacifico, and other zones, Ciudad del Saber, City of Knowledge, and then government of Panama is also planning a free trade zone in the Zona Franca free trade zone for information technology as well. Apart from that, Panama is also in Central America a regional aviation hub, which not just serves the Central America, but entire America's region. And Panama Canal, of course, makes it transshipment hub. So apart from that, government of Panama is also working with us to improve the economic ties. For example, about the visa complaints, Embassy of Panama in Delhi now offers businessmen 5-year visa with lot more in a more facilitating manner than was the case before. Government of India, apart from various things, also takes on activities like our Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program, ITEC program we call, which is to help South-South cooperation to increase the technical know-how and expertise in terms of providing training opportunities for Panamanians, primarily government or public sector employees, but this opportunity is also available to those working in private sector in Panama to go to India for short-term training courses in various areas. It's not limited. There are hundreds of institutions in India, both in government and private sector, leading institutions which provide these training opportunities fully funded by the government of India. Courses can vary from as little as a week to extending over several months. And there are 25 scholarships available to Panamanians every year under this Government of India is working very hard and in a more timely manner to make business environment in India more friendly, and opportunity these schemes of the government like Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, Startup India, and taxation modernization. Those are the things which make India more attractive business partner for the Panamanian companies as well. For India is known for its strengths in areas like pharmaceutical and IT business process management. India supplies 20% of global supply of generic medicine comes from India, and India is a leader in producing vaccine. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, our Prime Minister in his address to the United Nations General Assembly mentioned that India would be playing a leading role in terms of supply of corona vaccine as and when things develop and finalize in the world. So, as Mr. Ferrari mentioned, Panama not only provides economic opportunity in terms of the domestic market, highly developed economy, as well as logistic and hub associated with the canal and infrastructure. But Panama is also a financial hub for the in the entire Latin American region. There are over 85 banks in Panama, and financial services are highly developed with dollarized economy. It is banking becomes even easier here, and on top of that, because of the situation created by the pandemic, government of Panama has worked extra hard to create new regulations and environment for doing business. On 6th of August, government of Panama passed a new special regulation called IMA, which I understand my colleague Mr. Bhular will talk in detail, which is regulation for establishment and operation of multinational companies for the provision of services related to manufacturing. So under this law, foreign firms may develop in different parts of manufacturing activities in different parts of the countries, and they will get special regime, tax benefits, and certain benefits which go beyond the traditional free trade zone regime. So I think this is an interesting time to reboot and make greater relationship between India and Latin American region, and Panama and Central America could be important for its location in this. And I thank for all the participants for the event for joining hand with us, and especially for FIEO and our local partners in Panama. And I also thank my colleagues in the embassy, Mr. Kisanlal, Mr. Gonzalo Sierra, and Ms. Valerie, who worked over the last more than a month to make this event successful. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Som.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you very much for sharing a useful information, sharing with us the business environment as well as the economic scenario. And also, you have rightly said that Panama is the logistic hub and is a very strategically located. It should be looked after by not only at the Latin American, but as well, bigger markets as well. Thank you very much. May I now request Mr. Hardeep Bhular, who is the Director, Ministry of Commerce and Industry of Panama, for his address. Mr. Hardeep Singh Bhular is the Marketing Investment Director of the Ministry of Commerce and Industries of the Republic of Panama. Mr. Bhular has a bachelor's degree in finance and 2 master's degree, one in business administration, another one in strategic management. He has traveled to 41 countries and has 30 years of commercial experience. And now as a Marketing and Investment Director for the Panamanian government, and is also the architect of the new bilateral relations between India and Panama. Mr. Hardeep Bhular.
Good morning, everyone. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal. Greetings from Panama, the hub of hubs. First of all, my gratitude to His Excellency Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador of India to Panama, and the distinguished authorities of Federation of Indian Exporters Organization for the kindly invitation to join this distinguished webinar. Once again, my name is Hardeep Singh Bular, Marketing Investment Director of the Ministry of Commerce and Industries of the Republic of Panama. Also, as a member of the Indian community in Panama, which represents more than 20,000 people, I send the regards to all of you. Panama and India, two countries well connected since the 19th century. Wow, this is incredible. It brings a lot of things to share briefly and give me the opportunity to talk about what can we do together to promote bilateral business relations between both countries. Everything started 3 years ago, 2016, when my humble project, Panama Meets India, that was the idea. Finally, it got developed in October 2019 with the assistance of the Embassy of India to Panama, the Embassy of Panama to India, Mr. Richard Kilbourne, National Investment Director from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of Panama, and two wonderful advisors, wonderful, Mr. Prabhakar Sharan and Mr. Kundan Kanan. These two gentlemen believe strongly in my project and join me in this effort day and night. And now, we have the opportunity to see the results of our work. Now, what sells Panama to the world? The answer is very simple. We sell connectivity as a hub of the hubs. We represent a market of 1.3 billion people that include all the Americas and the Caribbean, the Panama Canal, and 5 ports, 2 in the Pacific Ocean and 3 in the Atlantic Ocean. So think about the possibility of taking advantage of these different scenarios, including the USA market, and get access to a variety of incentive laws that match with any Indian company, such as Panama Pacifico Incentive Law, which is the top regime for high value add manufacture and logistics services with a unique living standard just next to the Panama Canal and the busiest ports in the Pacific Ocean shores of Panama City. Colon Free Zone Incentive Law, which is the leading zone for regional distribution of merchandise within Latin America region, and is changing to a new operation for multinationals taking advantage of its strategic location. City of Knowledge Law, which aims to attract investments as well as companies with training centers and remarkable international institutions with successful stories on managing regional operation in the most exclusive zone close to Panama City. Free Trade Incentive Law, which understands the relevance of freedom for investors who are looking to create big projects and be supported by an incentive regime that allows to set operation anywhere in the country with options to create clusters and take advantage of thriving real estate options in Panama. Panama Film Commission Incentive Law, which provides a specific incentive to encourage filming industries to take advantage on reduced tax scheme and breathtaking natural scenarios around the country. Multinational Headquarter Incentive Law, which looks to settle regional operations for big multinationals, which take advantage on a very attractive incentive regime for headquarters that provide services to its subsidiaries around the world. And finally, our new law, it's our very brand new law, Manufacturing Incentive Law, which is the evolution of multinational headquarter incentive law, where big manufacturers can set their operations in Panama, support by a solid fiscal, immigration, and labor benefits for value-add multinationals. These incentive laws probably are going to be mentioned again by Mrs. Yolani Alvarado Natani, private consultant, and you will see the advantage that we have with those important incentive laws. Finally, before I left this webinar for another meeting with the Minister of External Affairs of Panama, you have listened briefly that there's a lot of work to be performed. And myself, as a humble architect for the new Panama-India vision, you can contact me, you can contact Mr. Ferreira, you can contact Mrs. Yolani Natani, you can contact many people that is involved in the new relations, the new vision between Panama and India. I will be more than happy to send you complete information from the government of Panama about laws, immigration service, logistics, customs service, whatever you want. And finally, I'm very happy to be here. I hope that I will see you very soon. Welcome to Panama, the hub of hubs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hazredeep Bullock. The information you shared was really very useful, and I'm sure Indian businessmen will also find it useful. And obviously, they will definitely be in touch with you and the other speakers after the event is there. Thank you very much for your presentation as well as your address. May I now invite Mr. Giovanni Ferrari. Mr. Ferrari is the General Manager of Colon Free Zone. He was the General Manager of Colon Free Zone since July 2019 and has more than 30 years of experience as an entrepreneur in the pharmaceutical sector of the Colon Free Zone. May I now invite Mr. Ferrari for his address, please.
Thank you very much. Very glad, very honored to have been invited to participate in this forum. I would like also to thank all the speakers that have made my task much more difficult. Because they have covered a number of areas which I had planned to cover, but I will try to focus in the most important aspects of the Colon Free Zone, and hopefully I will tickle your interest and promote your investment plans into Panama, and specifically the Colon Free Zone. I do have a presentation that I will try to share on the screen. Has everybody seen the presentation?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Very good. So, the Colon Free Zone is the oldest free zone here in Panama and among the oldest in the region. We were instituted back in 1948, so we have been 72 years in business. We started out as an operation that became a reality due to the vision of the Panamanian government back then and the help of the U.S. government, in which through a consultancy identified Colon as the strategic point to be able to drop off and to pick up goods from a nearby area using the port structure and the Panama Canal. That proved to be a winning idea. And today, after 7 decades, we have become a very, very large point of reference for regional business. As you have already seen from maps that have been shown by colleagues before my presentation, we tend to see ourselves as the largest free trade zone of the American continent. And the reason being is that we have over 1,000 hectares of land in which we have developed a very large portion of that land made up of warehouses and showrooms. Our activity has both logistic as well as import-export. So we do cater to a wide array of international companies that want either to have their inventories here in Panama to be able to service their markets in the region, or to actually have a commercial operation in which the inventories are here ready to be shipped, tendering to buyers that come from all of Latin America. Our privileged location, which is known globally, we are in a funnel for the Asian production to come through the Panama Canal and reach the eastern shores of the American continent and even as far as Europe. Also, because of our port infrastructure, we're able to service and have a feeder service for nearby ports in both sides of the American continent, on the Pacific as well as the Atlantic Ocean. Our logistics platform is really a very complete multimodal system in which we have air, sea, and land connections. Panama actually has 3 canals. The one that everybody knows and talks about, which is the Sea Canal, but we also have 2 land canals or dry canals, which is a railroad, as well as a highway that connects those 80 kilometers between the between the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. We don't use the term Atlantic Ocean because it is not sexy. When you speak of Caribbean Sea, you also think of palm trees, of islands, of beaches with white sands, and indeed, that is what Panama also sells, which is tourism. But for our trade, indeed, we are the narrowest point of the continent, and we have developed this infrastructure, which is a highly successful logistics platform. Going now into the specifics of the Colon Free Zone, we have basically 9 areas which comprise those over 1,000 hectares. In these 9 areas, we have a diversity of operations. As I mentioned before, we have companies that are actually engaged in international trade, in which these companies buy and sell products, and they hold their inventories, for which they have the warehouses, the showrooms, and all of this activity is incentivated by a number of tax advantages that Panama offers. All of the business that goes from the Colon Free Zone to the other countries of the region, it is a tax-free operation for which no income or no sales tax are applied, and there are no tariffs. The products that enter into the free zone are tariff-free and remain so until they leave the country. The only moment in which tariffs are paid is if those goods are sold into Panamanian territory. So in this slide, you can see 9 different areas. We also have an international airport, which is currently not being used, but it is also a business and an investment opportunity that Panama is willing to undertake, as it has a very long runway and is right besides the most active and the largest ports in our country. The advantages that the Colon Free Zone has are summed in the following. We have already spoken about our privileged geographical location, our vicinity to the Panama Canal, the 5 container ports that we have on both shores, and the fact that the Free Zone already hosts over 2,600 companies which are a mix of local as well as international firms. The Colon Free Zone boasts the largest amount of global firms that the Republic of Panama has in all of its various free zones. Besides that, as it has been mentioned, we use the dollar as our currency, and that provides a consistency and a stability in the costs as well as in the financial transactions that happen through the free zone and the Republic of Panama. The tax incentives, which are very attractive, and besides that, we are also a free zone that is technologically oriented in that we have a logistics platform for which all transactions are handled electronically. We have a very swift and nimble customs system in which products that arrive into a port or airport of entry reach the Colon Free Zone in 24 hours or less. And that also happens for the outbound process, in which the goods leave the free zone and actually leave Panamanian territory in less than 24 hours because of this very agile and efficient customs system that we have. And security, which nowadays it is also a priority. We have a surveillance system in which we can have access to all transits that enter and leave the Colon Free Zone. The activities that are allowed in the Colon Free Zone are very vast. They're varied. Basically, everything that needs to be done to a product can happen within the free zone. We can introduce, stock, show, and do all of the logistics activities that the product may require. These services, which are very popular among the companies that are established here, provide the flexibility to be able to service the regional markets. The secret of the free zone is to bring products in large amounts and to be able to ship or dosify those shipments into the countries of the region so that you sell just the right amount of products that they need so that you can collect and you can rotate your receivables. That way, your risk is limited. You do not impose a very large amount of inventory into the importers, and this is a formula that has proven successful throughout the decades. The only products that are not allowed into the free zone are weapons, ammo, and chemical substances which can be used for illicit activities. Those are specifically prohibited. We also provide possibilities in real estate. Companies are actually active into what is the construction of warehouse for rental purposes. Also, companies can buy existing buildings to own and operate or to rent as well. But we're also entertaining other projects in infrastructure for which the Colon Free Zone should be in the following months being able to expand for an area of roughly 130 hectares, for which we are planning to have developments in the areas of manufacturing, assembly, and even e-commerce, which is a trend that we have seen as very promising, and that our companies, the existing ones as well as new ones, are looking into to be able to take advantage of our infrastructure tools that we have to service the nearby markets. And here, I'd like to share some statistics as to where do the products that enter into the free zone come from and where they go. In this first slide, we can see that we have quite a bit of inbound traffic of goods coming from Asia. Here, and much to our chagrin, we can see that India does not play a relevant role. And this is something that we would like to reverse. We feel that India can and should be an important player in terms of purveyance of goods. So we hope that events as this can indeed play that role to promote and attract Indian companies to establish themselves in the free zone and use our area as a platform for regional distribution. All the activities of international firms that establish themselves throughout the ages in our free zone specifically do that. They use our area as a platform, as an operational base to be able to access the markets in the region. In terms of the outbound, we see, and we like to view this as a strength of the free zone, we have a fairly well diversified destination for our products. This is very good because it provides a degree of insurance should one particular country do have any type of difficulty, whether that be financial or other. We don't have an over dependency on a single country. So this diversity for us, it is very important. And as you can see, we have a presence in both North America, Central America, the Caribbean basin, and the South American countries as well. The types of products that we handle into the free zone, we have foremost the pharmaceutical and raw materials vertical sector, which is roughly between 20 and 25% of the turnover of the free zone. That is followed by clothing, as well as clothing being textile, shoes, and other articles and textiles. We also have luxury items such as electronics, cosmetics, liquors, cigarettes, and watches as well. But this division here means that the Colon Free Zone has a mix of high value, low volume, as well as low value, high volume goods. We are a very well diversified free zone in terms of the type of products that we handle. And this mix is also pretty much standard, and it's the same relationship for the outbound shipments or the re-exports as we call them. The free zone also engages in social responsibility. We should say that the free zone does have a peculiarity in which we are a government-owned and operated entity. That tends to be a rarity because for the most part, the free zones in the world tend to be a privately exploited, developed and operated free zone under a government grant. In our case, the land belongs to the government, the administration is a public office, and the buildings that are erected within the public land tends to be, for the most part, privately owned, but it can be freely negotiated, and there is a very active real estate market in terms of purchasing and selling facilities within our areas. But as a socially responsible entity, we do provide quite a bit of assistance in the fields of education, sports, non-government organizations, and as well as the local government entities. And here we have a summary, and this I would say it's perhaps the most important slide because this is the essence of why the free zone is so successful. First, it is very wise to have your products close to the intended markets. You can be very reactive shipping out of Panama into Central America, Caribbean, South America, in which the transit time is much, much shorter than if you intend to ship the goods out of India. So that reactivity and the possibility of being able to send or ship in smaller quantities it's very attractive for the importers into the region. That also means that the payments can be in smaller amounts, but more constant. And that is, I think, for our region, a very important role because the importers do not have the size or the financial muscle than perhaps their counterparts in North America, Europe, or Asia. So to be able to provide goods on a very quick, constant, and rotating system is what the importers look for, and that is definitely a factor that can win customers over. The region does have a larger amount of small and medium buyers, in which, being those the large majority of customers, really do play into what our strategy has been throughout the years. Also, if the Hindi companies do buy the idea and accept to have their operations or have their warehouses established here in Panama, they will also gain very valuable experience as to how the markets and the customers operate. We have to keep in mind that our region is comprised of a very large number of small countries. And to be able to learn the idiosyncrasy in each of those countries does take quite a bit of time and effort. So the companies in India have two choices. One, they can either opt to establish themselves here in the region or to identify a company that is already engaged in their field of interest in the region so that they can become their distributor. And that makes it very convenient for companies in India to be able to have a single point of reference, a single buyer, and have that company market those goods into the nearby countries. And all of the above can happen because Panama has optimal connections, whether by sea or by air, and in the case of Central America, also by surface, by land, to be able to access those markets in a very timely manner.
Hello.
Aló,
This,
Hernán, ¿estás ocupado?
this is a
Oye, tú estás aquí,
list.
¿verdad? ¿En tu oficina?
Sí.
Oops, sorry. This is a partial list of the companies that are established in the Colon Free Zone. These are global firms, multinational firms, but they do not comprise the majority of the companies. We do have quite a bit, very large number of small companies that are the ones that are engaged in the import-export business. These names are those that are mostly engaged in a logistics or a regional distribution hub, which provide a very large amount of the volume that are handled through the Colon Free Zone. And this is what I had for you, gentlemen. I hope that this was very useful and that the Free Zone remains at your disposal to be able to answer any questions or to be able to address any interests that you may have with regards to our operation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Giovanni Ferrari, for your very comprehensive and detailed presentation about Colon Free Zone, also pricing us about the various competitive advantage of the Free Zone. You have raised a very important point pertaining to the fact that Indian companies have not significant presence in the zone, and in fact the platforms like this plays a key role in enhancing our engagement, and I'm sure we will have a significant presence in the time to come. Thank you very much. In fact, during the Q&A session, many people would be raising the question. You will be able to respond to them. Thank you very much once again. May I now request Mr. Hernan Riveros, who's a commercial director, Panama Pacific, for his address. Mr. Riveros has been a key player in the Panama Pacifico project promotion and the relevant attractive foreign investments to Panama. He has a vast experience in the logistics and the manufacturing industries. He holds an MBA from Los Andes University in Bogota and Industrial Engineering Bachelor from the Javeriana University. Mr. Riveros, please.
Good morning, everyone. Allow me to share my. Thank you for the introduction, and Mr. Ferrari, excellent presentation about the free trade zone. Can you allow me to share a presentation? Okay, good. Panama Pacifico is a global hub for you. As probably you saw in the presentation of Mr. Ferrari, we are located in the Pacific area of the Panama Canal with a mixed-use project, which we have 2,000 hectares of warehouses, where probably you can see in the number 9. And we have a logistic and industrial park. We have a residential park where we are developing a small city in the west part of the Panama City. And also we have corporate buildings for offices. So in which we have the first Indian company that is Prodap. Probably in this map that you can see, you will see a summary of what we are. Located in terms of infrastructure in the north side of the park with the red dots. You see all the infrastructure that help us to be a multimodal project, which you can see the Panama Canal, number 1, and the ports that are just in both sides of the Panama Canal, and the future connectivity with the Fort Bridge and the Bridge of Las Americas. The blue dots can show you the corporate part, the number 6, you see our logistic and industrial park that is located, number 6 is our corporate office park, where we have about a couple companies and where Prodap is located. And the number 9 is the industrial and logistic parks. In the center of the project, you can see the airport, that is the heart of the project where everything was developed. And finally, to support all the residential part, we see in the purple dots are the schools that we have already in the project. And for us, education is one of the pillars of the project, where we help the companies to train and to give any capacitation for the people that will work in Panama Pacifico. In summary, you can see here the numbers of what Panama Pacifico is. 2,000 hectare projects, from which 1,400 hectares will be developed by London and Regional, which is the private part of the project, which are us. From those 1,400 hectares, 600 will be for preservation. We're not going to touch them. And 800 of them will be developed by even residential park, industrial park, or office corporate park. In the office corporate, we see 46,000 square meters of out of the 350,000 square meters that we will develop, which means more or less we have developed 5 out of the 16 to 18 buildings that we want to construct in the area. In warehouses, we have at this moment 210,000 square meters from out of the 480,000 square meters. And in terms of numbers, the presence of more than 300 companies in the project and more than 10,000 workers that comes in a daily basis to visit the project. In residential part, that is the end, we have delivered about 1,300 homes between apartments and houses out of the 30,000 that we're planning to do. And at this moment, we have about 4,000 residents that are part of the community that we have in Panama Pacifico. To summarize what is our special law, our special regime, in this slide you can see on the left the activity that have incentives in the area. So main groups are, there are 12 activities, and the main groups are First, services. In services, we find shared service centers, data centers, call centers, all the activities related to mobile activities. Inclusive is the regional headquarters for multinationals. So any time that you would like to establish an operation in Panama, we could help you to establish the operation, the regional, not only for Panama, but Central America, South America, inclusive US. High-tech manufacturing, which is a manufacturing incentive, not only in terms of technology in the product, but also in the process. We have already companies that are established with the manufacturing, and maritime and aviation, obviously, because there are many vessels and many airplanes that arrive to Panama. There are those type of companies that will be very interesting to establish operation right here. And the logistics and distribution from Panama, I think Mr. Ferreira explained it very well, why Panama is a multimodal country where you can deliver your products from Panama, but not only just move products, you can also do added value activities that in Panama. From that, help you in order to save cost and be more close to your customers. Thinking about the benefits is about the fiscal incentives, and more or less the main one is in terms of the income tax, where you can have a zero income tax or up to 5% of income tax depending on the activity. Labor incentives, where you can talk to your employees. We can have, Panama has a law where you can have up to 10% of the total employees can be foreign people. And in Panama Pacific, you can go up to 15%. Inclusive, you can add more if you can show that you didn't find that type of skills in the Panamanian people. However, the commitment is to do knowledge transfers, but because there are many laws in Panama, for example, the headquarters law, you can also add that law to Panama. In terms of the legal incentives, we have many legal incentives in Panama Pacifico, and to add that, we created a one-stop shop, or where we have 18 different entities of the government, 12 of them with physical presence. And the advantage of this, like all the process can be done here in Panama Pacific. In terms of that, the idea is, for example, in migration, we have simplified the immigration. All the process of the people that are coming from outside, almost all the paperwork in terms of obtaining the working permit or the immigration status can be done here in Panama Pacific without any lane. So it would be faster and shorter for all the people. So you want to take advantage of this. There is people willing to take care of you with the Labor Department, Immigration Department, and the Social Security Department. In terms of logistics, we have a customs dedicated to Panama Pacific where you can customize your process in terms of if any need a special need of move the products. Moving forward, showing you what is our corporate part of offices. It is a 58 hectares project where we have buildings. This one, the last one that we built, is a LEED certificate building with all the facilities. We used to develop our projects based on the feedback of the company that we already established. So we are evolving day by day, thinking about what the people and the employees are needed in terms of the facilities that they're looking for. So, for example, we are talking about a food court that we created for the employees. We have also banks, restaurants, gyms, all the amenities that the corporate office project is looking for. You can see an aerial picture of the building that we already constructed. And probably you see the evolution of them. In terms of the company that already established operation, I'm going to start talking about the product. And you're going to meet Miraj Gulsar in a couple minutes. Prodap is an Indian company that they do software development. They established operation last December in Panama Pacifico. It was very interesting because in terms of the support, all the establishment of the company in Panama was a knowledge process for both parties. Let's talk about the they are doing software development, but they have future plans of development in terms of call center and obviously growing about the software development. These are all companies that are probably well known as Dell. Dell, they have a shared service center. They have about 2,600 people working in Panama. At this moment, they have about 8 people, but they're planning to, in a year after this pandemic ended, with 50 people working in Panama. Quest is a software development company. And this case is very interesting because Quest has been with us about 3 years, and they have already like 200 people working with them. But to help Product to establish the operation in Panama Pacifico, we arranged a meeting with Quest and Product. And the idea is just to understand how is the business going in Panama and in Panama Pacifico, understand how you can recruit people and you can take advantage of the benefits of Panama and Panama Pacifico. So in terms of putting together, when we understand what are the needs of the company that are looking to invest in Panama, the idea is to put in some company that will establish operation. In India, for example, the hardware companies are very interesting. We have, in terms of office space, Granger, they are a hardware company, and they have about 650 people working. And here they have all the shared service center, finance and supply chain, and they handle 95% of the market in US and Canada. To show some of the company, Titiata is a Japanese company. They do all the support for IT support for MasterCard and DuPont from Panama. And in terms of fashion, BF, which is the company that owns Nautica, North Face, Vans, and some other Timberland, they do the shared service center from Panama Pacific, all the procurement. From here, they decide which textile they can use, how they produce, where to produce, and how to distribute them. In terms of talent pool availability, we have a technical institute of the government that you can train the people. This is NADE. They have a facility here with us, and so you can develop customized training programs with them for the companies based on their needs. Here you're going to see more or less the distribution. We are located in the West Bank. On our west part of the project, we have about 256,000 people available to work. And on the other side of the canal, there are about 270,000 people willing to work in the project. These are some pictures of what you have here in the corporate park. Talking about the industrial and logistic park, we have 88 hectares project in which we are now planning for the expansion. Mainly we have warehouses, variety from 500 square meters up to 20,000, and we are able to do build-to-suit projects. The warehouses comes from 6 meters up to 14 meters height. And we have projects of logistics and distribution, mainly regional, as Panama probably, and we mentioned before, local market is too small, but the strategic location of the country makes Panama as a multimodal country in order to connect not only people, but also the products that you will distribute in that region. Talking about the partners that you can find here, we could help you with the logistic company that are like FedEx, DHL, as a worldwide known companies, Nagel or Maersk. But in the other side, if you need the regional distribution, there are companies like TLA, PP Logistics that they can help you also in terms of the logistics. We know that India are very strong in terms of pharmaceutical, like FedEx, DHL are moving a lot of products in pharmaceutical and BP Logistics here in Panama, not only for Panama, but also for the region. And just not just doing all the import-export, but also adding value to this, like printing, doing blistering, as well as other projects. Those are the shipping companies that we have in the present project. And these are companies that they establish operation by themselves. Talking about electronics, which India is another of the strengths of India, we just are opening the Samsung regional distribution center for the after sales market. So from here, they will distribute all the spare parts for them, talking about the technology in cell phones, but also in refrigerators, stoves, and other products that they distribute. And same for Packard, is in the automotive industry. They have the spare parts regional distribution center. They are the owners of trucks like Kenworth or DAF. Companies like 3M and PPG, they not only establish regional distribution center, but also they have manufacturing plants. PPG has a manufacturing plants and technology of paintings based on water, and 3M, they have a sandblasting disc manufacturing plant. From here, not only produce, but distribute and added other products for the project. So there are some of the projects that we have already, and Miniso, which is a Japanese-Chinese company with Mexican investment as well, that they do local distribution and regional distribution. In terms of construction, we have Cemex. They do chemical additives for construction, as well as BASF, the German company. And in fruit and beverage, we have PepsiCo. These are some of the images of the warehouses that we have right here. The one that you see right here in the bottom left is a built-to-suit pharmaceutical warehouse, constructed by Johnson & Johnson, and is operated by DHL through its logistic operation, JK. We have here's Nipro Medical, which is a Japanese company, and they have at this moment 10,000 square meters of medical equipment distribution for not only for Latin America, but the whole region. They just last year decided to move the distribution center from Miami to Panama due to the incentives and also the saving costs that they would have here distributed from Panama. Just to summarize some of the future, the ports that we have, the PSA port, which is the Rotterdam port, we see right here in the picture. Panama Pacifico is here in the back. We have the Balboa port that is also in front of the PSA port, just crossing the bridge. In terms of the highway we have in front the Pan American Highway, which is under expansion, and this highway will connect you not only with Costa Rica, but also can go if you want straight to the U.S. as in through the all Central American countries, and future highways project that are in front of the Panama Pacific. For the future projects, we can see right here. Here is the Port of Panama. Here we have a future project of roll-on-roll-off port. It's a future logistic part that the government is planning to develop in front of the Balboa port, and two expansion of the Corozal port that will be also a container port. And you can see here the connection with the airport and through the corridor of going straight to the free zone of Colón. Here are some numbers of the special economic area of Panama Pacifico based on the gross value of the production by sector. You can see that mainly the cargo handling is one of the main products that we move from the income that we receive in Panama Pacifico. Talking about IT services and research and development are lower income, very important, that have a huge weight in the area. For us, the activity in the economic area, we have a total of, here we can see the impact of Panama Pacifico in the economy. We represent about 1.1% of the GDP. This is from 2018. For a small project that has been just in the market for 12 years, and we have a future 30 more years of development. A total of our multiplier effect is for $1 that the companies invest in Panama Pacific will return to the economy $1.83 for each dollar invested. Okay, this is a brief summary of what Panama Pacifico is. I don't know if there is further questions. We are so open to hear and to support all the people.
Thank you, Mr. Anand, for a very useful and very comprehensive presentation. Thank you very much. May I now request Mr. Prabhakar Sharan, who is the Vice President of Indo-Latin America Chamber of Commerce, for his address, please. Mr. Prabhakar Sharan is currently settled in Panama and Costa Rica for more than 20 years, currently working with different organizations in Latin America, India, with an agenda of unifying and creating a better platform for education, entertainment, and pharma through his foundation, actively working as first Indian Latin American actor, International Business Liaison for Government of Panama, President of University Pan America, Vice President International Kabaddi Federation, Associate International Partner and Judge of Miss India World. Mr. Prabhakar Sharan, please. Mr. Sharan, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much for such a nice introduction. Muy buenos días para todos in Panama. Namaste and a very good evening to everyone participating in this webinar from India. I would like to thank our Honorable Ambassador, Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, all our embassy staff, Mr. Hardeep Singh Bullar from Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Manuel Ferreira from Chamber of Commerce Panama, Mr. Giovanni Ferrari, Mr. Hernan, Mr. Mahesh Chandra, Mrs. Jolani Alvarado, Mr. Mehraj Gulzar, and everyone who's watching and made this webinar possible today. Let me personalize my experience as an Indian here. I came to Panama and Costa Rica, like the gentleman said, 20 years back with just a air ticket and blessing of my family. After all these years of ups and downs, as an entrepreneur, finally I ran the university where I came to study. I completed my dream to become an actor, and now people know me here as first Indian Latin American hero. Thanks to Panama and thanks to Costa Rica for getting this achievement. Mr. Hardeep Singh Bullar with Mr. Richard Kilburn under leadership of Mr. Ramon Martinez in November 2019 with mine and Kundan Khannan collaboration together with Indian Embassy in Panama and Panama Embassy in India, we started a program, India Meets Panama. That event really started a close relation and opportunities, not just for mega business group, but also for micro companies in every sector, which is going to benefit many Indian and Panamanian business people in coming days. To come to the point of today, which is COVID, I would like to continue with a small how Panama is so well organized and ready to confront and has become the most opportune in COVID also. Panama recorded its first case of coronavirus on March 9. Our Honorable President, Mr. Laurentino Cortizo, on March 11, signed a regional contingency plan to combat the pandemic, aimed at complementing national efforts. Mr. Cortizo announced a state of emergency on March 12, and date today, thank you to all his effort, to all the government people effort, and to everyone who is participating from Panama side in the webinar today. All their effort has bring the country again back together to work, and it's working day and night to reactivate the economy. The whole country started preparing to activate the economy. The current government, especially, like as I mentioned, Mr. Honorable Minister, Mr. Ramon Martinez, with Chamber of Commerce Panama, have implemented enormous effort in every sector to benefit everyone with local and international policies. I'm also, I can say, as a small example of it, as I got nominated in COVID time as an international business liaison, and my efforts, are going to be seen for India and Panama very soon. Like this kind of a small example, the government has created a huge number of examples in different sectors where people are putting their effort to bring together Panama, to bring Panama to the whole world and make Panama as it is from the day first. To define Panama as an Indian, because today also I hold my Indian citizenship. I am an Indian citizen today also. To define Panama as an Indian citizen, I can say the following. We have 40,000 plus Indian population in Panama. We have temples, we have Gurdwara, we have masjids in Panama. Panama infrastructure is the best in Central America. You can drink tap water throughout the country. Excellent education and healthcare system. A stable dollar economy. This is what we all Indian look when we go out. When we go out, we go to Canada, we go to US. We don't come to Latin America because we have a scare of all that different currencies that, what's going to be worth their investment. But Panama concludes with a dollar economy. The buildings are
very beautiful metropolitan city. Like we Indians are very much customized to live in different, city and areas. Panama has got the same with a skyscraper building with a 40-minute car drive to world-class beaches and rainforest, where we have a very enjoying moment with our family, with our friends, just in a 40-minute drive. With a recent research, the Panama is being nominated as the most positive people on earth. Just imagine, everyone is so positive that COVID or any other COVID which is going to come is going to convert, a positive message for whole world, that being so small country, it activated from every sector, every corner, everywhere, every person is working how to activate their country. And I'm really happy to be a part of it. And it's a real good example for us as an Indian that whole India also needs to activate. Our airport and hub of our airports are hub of Latin America. I mean, yeah, this is something, established a report where you have more than 33 countries fly directly, from Panama to other countries. Seaport, I don't need to define. Everyone know about Panama Canal and, world famous. Being a touristic place or being a business category, both falls to Panama Canal. Banking system, I can say more than 200 plus banking systems are there. All important world-class banks are there. Panama is the country with the second highest level of technology in Latin America and the country with the highest connectivity in the region. All of this has made Panama a very stimulating and growing hub for commerce, finance, business, and tourism. And you will wonder now with the COVID, what will happen? Well, I tell you, it will continue to be the best positioned country in Latin America, to be the hub of Latin America with best prospects to reach the heart of the world. In Panama, we also have a business and commercial culture. Deeply rooted, and being such a small multicultural country, they have shown to have an enormous recovery and incentive capacity. What I can say, being from entertainment industry, just imagine Panama is going to be the first country, ladies and gentlemen, in Latin America with the highest cash incentive for movie projects for any producer or director throughout the world. I'm personally working with many Bollywood people to come and shoot their movie in Panama Pacifico, in Free Coron Zone, in all Panama, and to show the world and to show all India what Panama is going to look like after COVID and what Panama is right now. So finally, with a simple word, I will try to finish. If you are drowning, do not sink, but learn to swim. If you are drowning, do not sink, but learn to swim. I will also say this in Espanol. Si te estás ahogando, no te hundas, sino que aprenda a nadar. Si te estás ahogando, no te hundas, sino que aprenda a nadar. This is what Panama is. This is what our current stable government is. This is what our Panama policies is creating, that instead of sinking with COVID, they have learned to swim and they are coming like more major, facilities and benefit to provide the whole world. So now finishing everything with my, I'll not take much of your time, guys. Like I told you, bienvenido Panama, most welcome to Panama. We all are here to give you a one-stop solution to all my people who are listening in India, to all the small and big entrepreneurs, business people. Guys, like I told you, I came here with a very, very small trajectory, with a small village of India in Bihar. I was not knowing any, not even, any big country or any other country. I came fall to Panama and I stayed here and I'm living very happily. Thank you to Panama. And for this, I will give you a surety. Please come, do a business here or get settled or get started here. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias para todos. Thank you very much. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prabhakar. Thank you for sharing your experience as an Indian. and also assuring us the support for the Indian businessman. We really look forward to your assistance in this regard in penetrating to the Panama as well as other adjoining market. Thank you very much for your wonderful address. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And may I now request Mr. Mehraj Guljar, who is the Vice President of Latin America region of Product IT Industry. Mr. Mehraj Guljar is Vice President Americas at Prodap. Mr. Mehraj leverages Prodap's domain strength and DSP-specific next generation solutions across digital, robotics, cloud for driving transformation across some of the Prodap most important customers in North America, Latin America, and South Africa. I would request Mr. Guljar to share his experience with our Indian businessmen today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I would like to say a special thanks to the Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat to give us the opportunity to talk about our work in Panama and what we have been doing there. I'm just sharing my screen. I'll just quickly walk through. I have a couple of slides. I'm just going to talk about what we are doing in overall and why we chose Panama as a technology company. So Prodap itself is a technology services company, which is headquartered in India. We are part of the Jhavir Group, which is a big conglomerate in India. What makes us different than, let's say, the Tatas, the TCS, or the Infosys of the world is that we focus only on telecom and media customers. Right? We work only with telecom and media providers. And within that, we focus on the top telecom customers in the world. So as you can see, most of our customers are the names, well-known names, AT&T and Verizon, and TELUS and T-Mobile, etc. So these are all the customers which we work with. We are about 2,000 employees globally. We have given a map which shows all our office locations. And we are seen as a company who is very focused on the next generation solutions. So we do a lot of work around machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics, in addition to IT development and IT managed services. The newest office which we opened is in Panama City, and I'll just give you a quick view of that as well. It's relatively new. We actually opened the office in Panama in around November, December of last year. And right now, I should first start by thanking Panama Pacifico. They made the process really smooth. We were looking to set up a Latin American center, and we were evaluating multiple areas. We were evaluating Colombia, we were looking at Chile, we were looking at Panama. We finally chose Panama for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, I think the language and time zone actually was perfect in the sense that if you need to serve Spanish-speaking customers and you need to be in a time zone which also serves US Spanish-speaking customers in the US, there is no place like Panama, right? So it maps exactly to what we are looking for. The second thing which also which caught us by surprise a little bit was that the talent ecosystem in Panama is actually really, really good, right? So it's a little bit like how in India, we always have this debate on, okay, hey, if you want to do IT, do you go to Bangalore or do you go to Hyderabad and Chennai, right? So yeah, there are other places which are like the Bangalores of Latin America, but then Panama is the equivalent of Hyderabad or Gurgaon or or Chennai, right? So it has a very good talent pool. You get some benefits because there are lesser number of companies there right now, so you get the best access to the talent. And then a lot of it is also there is a good ecosystem right now with the colleges and universities which are continuously having a lot of enthusiastic young people who are coming into the market. As I mentioned, one of the major reasons we chose Panama was because of our friends in Panama Pacifico. They were excellent to work with. It was just the whole process of going through. We were all learning because this was the first time we were doing it, and I think Panama Pacifico was also doing it for the first time. But in spite of certain challenges, they were really able to help us navigate the system. Obviously, being in Panama Pacifico brings it with its own benefits. Hernan already talked about it, but you get access to a single window system for immigration related issues. You get some tax benefits, etc. So there are a lot of benefits which come out of it. I put some pictures there. That's the Panama Pacifico park, and a few pictures of our office as well. And obviously, the other major benefit in Panama is it has its cost advantages. A lot of times, when Indian companies, the reason we have offshore centers in the IT world is we're working with US customers, and obviously one of the big benefits is in addition to the talent, in addition to whatever we bring to the table in India, the cost is also relatively cheap there, right? And that benefit comes naturally. The good thing about Panama is you actually get that benefit as well. It's a little bit more expensive than what you would see in India, but it's still very, very cheap when compared to having resources directly work in the US or in other countries in North America. So you get and obviously you also get good access to dual language population, both English and Spanish, and that's one of the reasons why we chose Panama specifically. We had an 8-member office, but after the pandemic started, obviously a lot of us are working remotely. We've already expanded to about 20 right now, and we are on the path to expanding to 50 plus. We are supporting a lot of customers both in Latin America and in even in the US out of the Panama Pacific office. That's all I wanted to share. Just a quick summary about what we are doing and why we chose Panama. I'm happy to answer questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maharaj, very much for your information, and thank you for sharing the unique advantage of having your presence in Panama. Thank you very much. May I now request Ms. Yolani Nathani, founder of Pro Panama, for her address, please. Ms. Yolani Nathani was received as a Panamanian lawyer in 1998 and got her master's degree in business and labor law shortly thereafter. Entrepreneur by heart, she set up her private law practice in 2001 and worked closely with important import companies and corporations. Working with a team of customs brokers and free trade agreement experts, she became knowledgeable in international commerce, providing legal assistance to companies wanting to set up operations in Panama, and attracted by Panama's convenient offshore tax system and enviable geographical position. She is the CEO and founder of Pro Panama, the private and trade and investment agency of Panama. Ms. Nathani, for her address, please.
Hello, good morning to everyone here in Panama. Good afternoon to everyone here in Panama, and good night to everyone in India. Could you please confirm that you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible, yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, dear colleagues in Panama, and good night for our audience and speakers in India. I feel very honored to be here today with you, and I'd like to especially thank His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Ambassador of India to Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua, for the invitation to join you all, these prestigious businessmen and speakers of this event. My name is Yolani Nathani. I'm a Panamanian attorney, married for over 15 years to Mr. Sunil Nathani, and a member of the Indian community in Panama. Thanks so much for your interest in my beautiful country, Panama. Moving forward with our presentation, we would like to start by saying that Panama is well known to be considered as bridge of the world and heart of the universe. Our strategic geographical position has allowed us to place ourselves as the country with the best connectivity in Latin America and as a getaway to the Latin American market. Indians have recognized the importance of this feature and have established a well-settled Indian community known for its prosperity and generous reach out to the less favored. Throughout time, India has become an important business ally. The balance of trade shows that India is a commercial partner number 3 in exports up to the first semester of 2020, with 7.4% of the total exports. Also, India is a commercial partner number 20 in imports up to the first semester of 2020, with 1.0% of the total. Now, let's find out what are the commodities and goods interchanged between Panama and India. We can see that the main products exported meaning sent from Panama to India, are 78% are unprocessed teak, 16% are other woods, and in smaller percentages, the rest of the exports are commodities such as waste and scrap of aluminum, iron and steel, paper and cardboard, and tanned hides and skins. Exports to India make a total FOB value of 24 million plus, almost 25 million US dollars. On the other hand, main products imported, meaning sent from India to Panama, are 32% plus are vehicles, including ambulances, hearses, and vehicles used for public and private transportation. 10% of the imports are medicines. Additional commodities in smaller scale are optical fiber cables, vaccines, herbicides and fungicides, containers for compressed or liquefied gases, school notebooks, and other commodities that make up to 39% of the total. Imports from India add to a total CIF value of 38 million plus US dollars. Our Indian business community brings diversity to Panama and a strong sense of commitment. The Indian community used to have a strong presence in the Colon Free Zone. Outside the Colon Free Zone, they mainly focus in home appliances shops, sunglasses, and accessory shops. Parker, Sankey, Crown, and Mystic are well-known Panama brands in home appliances that were created by Indians doing business in Panama. Once they come, Indians settle and tend to stay permanently in the country, many times going internationally as they take advantage of the unique position of Panama to reach markets in Central and South America. Doing business in Panama is easy. Rated 66 of 100 possible points, the World Bank positions Panama as a good and easy country to do business in for 2 years in a row, 2019 and 2020. Similar ranking has been appointed to Panama in previous years. Now, for Panamanians looking to do business in India, the news is that the World Bank rates India, specifically New Delhi, with 71.9 out of 100 possible points, which shows that doing business in New Delhi is relatively easy as well. Moving forward, we would like to share important information related to the procedures to import commodities from India to Panama. As indicated before, Panama has in place simple procedures to import general commodities. Paperwork is relatively easy to obtain, and the main documents required to import commodities are commercial invoice and bill of lading or airway bill. Food and beverages require sanitary registration in place before arriving to Panama. Samples of food and beverages must obtain special permits before arriving to Panama as well. Panama uses some of the most advanced customs systems, and all points of entry are connected via fast and effective internet with the main customs offices around the country. Now, let's talk about connectivity and why is Panama a great choice. Panama provides the best sea, air, and digital connectivity in Latin America. By sea, Panama Canal moves over 3,000 million TEUs. By air, Panama connects more than 80 cities, including cities in Asia and Europe, some with very few stops. A flight to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, for example, makes only one stop in Amsterdam. IT-wise, we are proud to say 7 optical fiber continental cables pass through or nearby our country. When it comes to business opportunities, we have plenty. Among the multiple areas of opportunity, Panama offers the following. Energy, with eolic parks in place and in project to come. Logistics and transportation. Panama's position is unbeatable in this one. Public-private partnerships. A few months ago, the Panamanian government passed the first law in its class, legalizing and recognizing the importance of this type of partnerships to develop big projects. Tourism. Tax breaks are in place for the tourism industry, and there will be changes to the law to update its regulations. Tax breaks, however, will be kept in place. Technology. Internet access has a 70% penetration in the country. Orange and creative community. The government recognizes the important role this new economy is bringing in the country and promotes its development. So, I have convinced you. You're ready to move forward and start your business in Panama, right? Here are the steps to take to successfully achieve this goal. Due to timing limitations, I will not discuss them individually, but as a summary, it's a simple 6 steps process, being step number 6 the most important one. Step number 6 is start business, make money, and enjoy our beautiful Panama. I have now reached the end of my presentation. I hope the information provided has been a useful one. Again, my name is Yolani Natani, and I appreciate your attention. I will be standing by for your questions. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad, shukriya.
Thank you, Ms. Jolani Nathani, for a wonderful presentation, giving us the details about the opportunities, procedures, and other relevant information for the Indian businessman. Thank you very much. I'm sure Indian companies will be looking forward to your advice as well as guidance in entering Panama market. Friends, we are now closed with the presentations. We'll open the session for Q&A. I would request the participant to just press the raise finger button and raise your query. Also, just mention for the particular speaker, that query is there so that we can ask that particular speaker to respond to your query, please. I would just request first, there's a person with the guest registered with guest name ID. I would request him to raise his query, please. I think he's muted. I would request Mr. Jagdish Parekh to raise his query, please. Mr. Parekh. Yeah, Mr. Parekh. Mr. Parekh, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much to the FIEO for arranging such a webinar for educative purpose for the small exporters. My question to Mr. Ferreira, in his slide presentation, he said that there are importers of the raw materials used in pharma industry. I would request him to share the list of the importers to the FIEO and through which I can get it so that we can develop the contact with that country. So far, we have not exported anything to Panama. I wish to export to Panama industry, Panama country, sorry.
Mr. Parekh, I understand Mr. Manuel Ferreira has left. He had some other meeting.
Okay.
I would request our Indian embassy to respond to the query, please.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Parekh, Mr.
Yes.
Ferreira have left the meeting, but
Okay.
you send that query through FIEO to the embassy, we can get the answer and get back to you.
Okay, prior to Mr. Can you share the contact details and email
Yeah.
ID?
Yeah, Mr. Parekh, you can send it to us. We will also be sharing after the meeting, maybe by tomorrow, the contact details of all the speakers, so that in case you have any particular query, you can write to them.
Yeah, all the speakers, you can give the contact details.
Yeah, we will share. We will share.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I would now request Mr. Ankush Jain to raise his query, please. Mr. Ankush. Mr. Ankush, are you there? We'll take another question. I would request Mr. Anmol Samat to raise his query, please.
Buenas tardes, señora Yolani. Yo tenía una pregunta para usted. Yo quería saber cuál es el proceso. Me llamo Anmol Samat, soy de la India y yo aprendí español hace 3 años. Así que he estado interesado a invertir en la zona libre de Panamá desde mucho tiempo. Y lo que yo quería saber es, ¿cuál es el proceso para conseguir un permiso de trabajo para la zona libre? Por ejemplo, si yo voy a abrir una compañía en la zona libre, ¿cuál es el proceso? ¿Es un proceso muy largo? ¿Cuánto se dura en tiempo? ¿Y cuánto se cuesta? ¿Y hay un requerimiento de capital que hay que invertir? O sí, estas preguntas son preguntas que yo tengo.
Señor Samat, buenos días. Estoy encantada de poder hablarle en español. Lo felicito. Habla muy bien. Ok, ahora para atender a su consulta, en efecto, usted puede, todo extranjero que viene a hacer negocios a Panamá debe solicitar su residencia. Y la buena noticia es que Zona Libre de Colón tiene programas especiales para obtener residencia. Asimismo, también para la obtención de su permiso de trabajo. Hacer negocios en Panamá es muy sencillo, como comenté anteriormente. Y específicamente en el área de zona libre, los procedimientos son muy rápidos y son muy básicos y sencillos. Nos acompaña también el señor Giovanni Ferrari, que es de la zona libre de Colón. Licenciado Giovanni, no sé si usted quisiera agregar un poquito más para el área específica de zona libre de Colón, ya que usted pues es el experto en el área. No sé si está con nosotros, si nos está acompañando todavía.
In fact, for the benefit of other Indian businessmen also, I would request if the query that was raised and that was responded, I would just like to understand if it can be helpful for the other Indian businessmen as well.
Okay, so I'm going to translate it in English. I'm going to say it again in English. So as I was saying that every foreigner in Panama needs a residency permit and a work permit. The good news is that the Colón Free Zone has in place special programs where you can file for residency and work permit according to the special laws created for the Colón Free Zone. Panama is an easy-to-do business country. We have been rated 66 out of 100 possible points by the World Bank. And doing business in the Colón Free Zone is particularly easier. Why? Because they have a step-by-step program, which is very easy to fulfill. And once you file in all the requirements and all the paperwork, you will be granted a license in order to operate in the Colón Free Zone. I was saying that maybe Mr. Ferrari, who was a previous speaker before me, maybe he would like to jump in and share with us the procedures and the step-by-step procedure in order to establish a company in the Colón Free Zone. I'm not sure if he's still around. That's the only thing. I don't know, Mr. Sam, if you could maybe check that out for us.
Yeah, I will check. In the meanwhile, I will take another question. I'll just check whether he's there. Thank you. In fact, even if the procedures are to be there, I think they would be more descriptive, and I would request the Indian company to write to them so that they can get the detailed description of the procedures as well.
Perfect.
I would now request Dr. Prakash G. Pai for his query, please. Mr. Prakash. Mr. Prakash, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Pai here. I just have a few questions. Thanks for the opportunity given. I just want to know what is the Indian alternative medicines, how you are going to promote there. And if I have 2-3 queries in that. First is investment, minimum investment, and second is taxation, and third is residence, permanent residence or something like that, what you offer for Indian medical professions. Somebody can answer this?
Ms. Jalani or from the Indian Embassy, any one of you can respond to that query.
Yeah, for particularly
something like Kerala massage, if I want to have a eco health resort. Yeah, please answer. Yeah. Go ahead.
Ms. Jalani.
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Okay. So regarding the residency permits, the process starts by requesting a visa, and once the visa is granted, the individual can file for a residency permit. Depending on the place in which you're going to establish your operations, certain places have special rules in place. For example, Panama Pacifico has special immigration and work permits laws. The Colon Free Zone has a different program specially created for business people, foreign business people that establish their operations in the Colon Free Zone. And if you decide not to go into either or one of these free trade zones, you can always operate in the rest of the tax territory of the country. And there are special rules that you need to fulfill in order to get a residency in Panama. One of those options, one of those rules is to invest at least $300,000 either in a property or in a fixed deposit in a bank in Panama. Okay, so all of those are the main requirements. The specifics, I can gladly send you the information if you want to your email. I will provide, I guess that the organizer will provide you with my email address. If you want, you can write me and I can send you the details of all the programs for which you can file in order to get residency in Panama and to get a work permit. Regarding taxation, that's the good news. These special economic areas are tax-free. So if you establish your company in one of those free trade zones, you will not be paying import taxes, for example. And in many cases, the income tax return that you will have to pay will be lower than the regular income tax that you will be paying outside these special economic areas. Right now, the income tax return, the income tax percentage of payment is in Panama City, it's 25%. If you are not established in a special economic area. Of course, if you are established in a special economic area, different rules apply depending on the type of, depending on the area in which you have chosen to do your business.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I now request,
welcome.
May I now request Mr. Ricardo Jarmilo to raise his query, please. Mr. Ricardo. So Ricardo, please unmute yourself. I think we'll take another question. I will request Mr. Siddharathan for his query, please.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
We are a frozen chicken distributor in Chennai, South India. We like to import frozen chicken from every part of the country where we are able to get the cheapest thing. And if I like to set up a trading office in Panama, what would be the minimum setup cost for setting up a trading office in Panama, free trade zone? So it would be easier for us to tap the US market and Brazil market.
Ms. Jalani, would you like to respond about the what is the minimum investment required for trading office in Panama or in any of the free trade zone?
Sure, absolutely. The process, as indicated by the the speaker. The process is to basically set up Panamanian Corporation. Panamanian Corporation start up to $900 in fees. They are very inexpensive and they are very accessible. And maintenance fee per year, the maintenance fee per year in total, they are up to $1,500 $200,000 per year to keep a company in Panama. Now, if you are looking to open trade office as an intermediary, Panama offers the possibility to establish either in a free trade zone or in not a free trade zone, on a regular tax area. But because Panama has a territorial tax system, you will not be requested to pay income tax because all offshore operations are not taxable. Either you establish in a free trade zone or either you establish in a not free trade zone in any part of the country. So if you plan to, for example, sell the chicken from India directly to your consumers or to your clients in the United States, and you decide to establish an office in Panama, you can easily do so. And because that is considered an offshore operation, you will not be paying income tax on that operation in Panama.
I like to import from US and Brazil to India.
In that case, what would Panama be like? Would you like to settle to open up a company in Panama in order to invoice those operations that are going to be where the product is going to be sent to other countries? Is that your question?
The purchase invoice would be to Panama. The sales invoice would be to India.
Well, you can do so. You can do so by setting up a Panamanian corporation in Panama. And because that's going to be an offshore operation, meaning that the product is not going to enter Panama, that operation is going to be tax-free.
Okay, thank you.
May I now request Ms. Representative from Zindal Mehdi Search for his query, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nitin Jindal. Basically, we are a medical device manufacturer, and we are already exporting to Guatemala and Mexico in Latin America. And as we are exporting there, we have, as we are exporting medical devices, we need to do sanitary registration in the region before starting exporting to those regions. I would like to know if the same applies for Panama as well. Do we have to get the sanitary registration done? Anybody can answer?
Yes, if I may,
Yes.
the answer is that you do need registration, but it's not a sanitary registration per se. In Panama,
Okay.
medical devices will need to have a technical criteria approved and in place if
Okay.
you are planning to sell to the government hospitals in Panama. If you're not planning to sell to the government hospitals in Panama, then you don't need, it's not a mandatory requirement to have a technical criteria in place. You might want to have a technical criteria in place because the opportunity to sell to government hospitals is bigger than the opportunity to sell to private hospitals, which are fewer hospitals. So that's the reason for which you might want to you might want to file for a technical criteria for your medical devices.
All right.
So
Thank you
the
for
answer is
yeah.
no, you don't need a sanitary registration. If you plan to sell to the government hospitals, then you just need a technical criteria in place.
So if you can share me the details where I can get the information, how to get about these technical criteria, it will be great.
Sure, absolutely. I don't know. I guess that the organizers will send you our email address.
Yes.
We will definitely share the email and contact details of all the speakers. Friends, we have already exceeded our time limit. We will take the last question of the session. I would request Mr. Kundan Kannan to raise his query, please. Yeah, Mr. Khan.
Yeah,
Mr. Khan,
thank you.
you're not
Yeah,
audible.
thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you, Mr. Som. Yes, thank you, Mr. Som. I'm Kundan Kanan here. I've been living in Panama for last 20 months. I was the trade and political advisor to the ambassadors of Venezuela and Uruguay in New Delhi between 2003 and 2009. I have my own company registered here in Panama. I have been a part of the various Chamber of Commerce in India and also to Honorable Embassy here and to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And I know all the speakers, especially Madam Yolani, Mr. Hardeep Bhullar, my dear friend and brother, Mr. Prabhakar Sharan. And, I've been a part, I'm very honored to be a part of the Panama Meets India and India Meets Panama program. My question straight to FIEO is, Honorable FIEO, is that now that we are looking forward to, forge and enhance a relationship between Panama and India on many fronts, commercial, cultural, empresarial, strategic alliances. Also, we are talking about FTA and PTA. There has been a baggage of PPL, unfortunately, Panama paper leaks. Whenever we talk about any businessman, for a matter of fact, from India, that baggage always occurs and reoccurs. It resurfaces, So my humble submission and my question therein is, what kind of measures are we taking on a weekly, monthly basis by such a large chamber of commerce like FIEO to keep removing this baggage of Panama paper leaks and look at Panama as an alternative to, very well presented by Mr. Gulzar, as an alternative of California, Texas, and Miami. This is my submission and my question at the same time.
Thank you for raising this story. In fact, to be very frankly, I'm not quite aware about this thing. In fact, the virtual meets which we are doing, it's just trying to bring more people together and try to enhance our bilateral trade and cooperation. This is what our endeavor is, to bring businessmen, more and more businessmen, and create more awareness. Unless we have more awareness amongst ourselves, we are not going to engage in more of the bilateral relationship. Anyway, your point is well noted, and we'll look into it, because frankly speaking, I'm not looking out of that subject at this particular point of time. But nevertheless, your point is well noted and well appreciated, and probably that must be taken care of by the appropriate authorities. So this is what I can say at this point of time.
Right. Thank you.
Te escuchamos, Katia. Yo te escucho, Katia.
Friends, we don't have any other question. In fact, I would request all our Indian companies who are present, or probably who are present, to just send us their feedback, as well as their queries. Will be sharing a feedback form with all of you. With all of you after the meeting. In fact, Mr. Kundan Karan, so you have already raised the query. Sorry. So probably in case you have any more queries, you can always write it to us.
Creo que Katia está hablando, Ariadna, ¿tú lo escuchas?
We can always send it to the concerned speakers as well as experts present today. With these words, we'd like to conclude our session, which has been highly useful and informative. I would like to first extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to His Excellency Mr. Upender Singh Rawat, Indian Ambassador to Panama, whose presence has really motivated, and the whole entire team of the Indian Embassy in Panama, who has worked hard for organizing this session and bringing large pool of experts as well as speakers today, who shared their valuable information and details about the various important topics of discussion today. I'm sure Indian companies present today must have been benefited by the various various useful information shared by all the dignitaries as well as experts present. I would like to also thank all our Indian participants who were present in the large number and raised their queries. And I would like to once again thank all the speakers. Wish you a very wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of the embassy, I thank all the participants.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful. Thank you.